Hello, and welcome to Marriage Unchained, the art of one flesh, where saving marriages, saving families, and saving souls is the flavor of the day. Now, let's join our host and author of Marriage Unchained, Catholic Alpha Radical, Jerry Jacobs Jr.
Welcome to Catholic Alpha Radical Live, where I help you fix your Catholic marriage. I've coached and helped hundreds of men in their marriages, and now I want to help you. Call 313-RADICAL now. That's area code 313-RADICAL, and ask me anything on tough marital issues, such as what to do when she's asked for divorce, what to do when you have a mutual agreement of separation but you didn't want it, what to do when your wife is cold and distant, what to do when your wife is having an affair, what to do when your marriage is bad, boring, lukewarm, and passionless, what to do when you engage in a marital embrace less than once a month, what to do when you sleep in separate bedrooms, what to do when she has left the home with or without the children, what to do when you're divorced but didn't want it. Call 313-RADICAL. That's area code 313-723-4225. That's area code 313-723-4225. Again, call 313-RADICAL right now for answers to intimacy problems, communication problems, prayer and spiritual warfare problems, authentic masculinity problems, aka how to man up. So, sit back, relax, take a chill pill, and get ready to rock. But don't duck. Can you feel it? Catholic Alpha Radical coming at you now. Hello, and welcome to Catholic Alpha Radical, a Catholic relationship podcast that helps you fix your Catholic marriage. Moreover, where my main mission is to keep you out of divorce court, and where Marriage Unchained, the art of one flesh divorce combat coaching is the flavor of the day, while also helping me understand marriage and courting, not dating, in the Catholic faith. Why? Because dating is for sex and courting is for marriage. In this 86th episode, the Holy Lovers series, How to Save My Marriage When My Wife Has Given Up, 33 gifts that will satisfy her forever. And today, gentlemen, we uncover gift number 7. Plus, live calls from you answering your marriage and crisis questions. So, if you got any questions, you're dating and she's not acting right. You haven't made love in a while. No intimacy outside the bedroom. You don't kiss. You don't hold hands. Anything like that. Get in the queue. Ask your question, how to get that solved. Maybe your wife is avoiding you and she's not talking, or she gets mad, or you guys are arguing and fighting all the time. Think about it. Fix it now. Don't wait till it's too late. All right? Get in the queue. 313-RADICAL. That's 313-723-42225. Or you can call in using your browser at callinstudio.com/radical1. Don't wait. Get in the queue now for some resolution to your marriage confusion. Now we have the quote of the day. So let's do this. Quote, "It takes 3 to make love, not 2. You, your spouse, and God. Without God, people only succeed in bringing out the worst in one another. Lovers who have nothing else to do but love each other soon find there is nothing else. Without a central loyalty, life is unfinished." End quote. Archbishop Fulton J. Sheen, book 3 to Get Married. I've helped hundreds of men in their marriages. Allow me to help you in yours. Get live Catholic marriage help Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, for some resolution to your marriage confusion. So, as promised, we are doing our Catholic Radical Rant of the day and our 33 clues to understanding marriage. You know, my wife is giving up. So how do we get that back? We started the series last week, I think it was. And so we had a lot of, clues in the series before with clues your wife may want a divorce. And so what's been happening is now we switched that around. We've had some interviews in the last couple of weeks. We're hyping things up and trying to show you the things that will, if you don't get the clues and you get yourself into problems, even if they're minor problems or major problems, now we're talking about how to get out of them and what to do. The main thing is, as I always say, please do not ignore the first problem, the first way that you know that you're having marriage problems is your wife is nagging you. If your wife is nagging you, that is her feeling that the emotional closeness is leaving in your marriage, and that is her trying to get validation of your love. So you better get on your game. Now, I didn't say that enough. Now, I'm going to stop trying to be nice about it. Yes, I'm going to start trying to get serious on it. Boom. That's what you got to do. All right? So we have to stop and we must listen to when it comes to our marriage and relationships. And when we do listen, most of the time we've avoided the problem so long that we found ourselves in what the church calls marriage crisis, meaning divorce, separation, not making love, arguing constantly, and things like that. But in the Holy Lovers series, I give the husband solutions. I give you guys solutions to how it can be. And if you adopt these concepts, it will help. So I also make a bold claim that these gifts will satisfy and fulfill your beloved wife forever if embraced. A lot of the stuff I talk about it's countercultural. A lot of stuff I talk about, people just they don't get it. Because when you're in hell, you don't really understand how to get out of it. So when somebody brings something to you that fixes things, it sounds weird at first. It doesn't sound like it makes sense, And so what you got to do is you have to step outside yourself and try your best to understand the things that I'm talking about. Because we're going to go into, right now, we're in the prayer warfare, the gifts. And then we're going to go into the art of manliness gifts. And then, of course, the making love mastery gifts, where everybody's going to get all squeamish because nobody likes to talk about sex in the right way. Everybody's disordered when it comes to sex. And so when somebody that talks about sex is trying to help them, they get all squeamish. Oh, I can't talk about that. I can't hear that. Oh. Well, that's why you ain't having no sex right now, because you ain't want to talk about it. Married couples must talk about the marital embrace. You must talk about it. You have to talk about it. If you don't talk about it, people are going to be unhappy. Okay? Next. But I will be upfront. It's all these 33 gifts is a journey. You can't do it on your own and expect complete happiness in your wife. It took me years and years to get that, and I'm still working on it. And so basically, though, what you want to do is try your best to create a good marriage and a great marriage. And if you're in marriage crisis, I'm sorry to say that requires help. Why? Because a husband needs to build up habits. You need guidance and the act of building many habits to achieve this greatness. Most dudes think, well, we ain't getting along, we fighting, things ain't right. But you know what? There's got to be a trick. There's got to be a trick that somebody can tell me or I can look for on the internet, and that right there will help me. That will help me to fix this once and for all. But see, that only comes to cars, boats. That only pertains to cars, boats, jobs, stuff like that. Our marriage, no way. There's never a one-trick pony. Never, ever, ever. And so people that try to fix their marriage, a man especially tries to fix his marriage, you're dealing with an emotional being, and she is not hearing it like that. And so what happens is we're trying to do a one-trick pony, and she's a lot more complicated than that, That's why when a wife gets mad and dudes start trying to buy them flowers and candy and all that kind of stuff, they go, that makes them madder. Okay. So understand that. Next, remember, marriage, of course, is the hardest relationship on this earth to get great. It's easy to have a boring, passionless, unexciting marriage. It is. You just wake up, you kiss each other, you go to work, you come home, you eat some dinner, and you go to bed, and that's what you do day in and day out. Sunday you might go to church, but where's the excitement, man? Where's the knowledge of one another? That's where things come. That's where greatness comes in our marriage. And then, of course, including God in that. God makes your marriage exciting. He really does. But most of us think, well, I'm gonna keep God out of my bedroom. I only talk to God inside the church. That's a life destined for boredom. It really is. Okay. You can't. It's hard to love your wife if you don't pray for her. It's hard to get that deep love that takes years to build if you don't pray for your wife, because you get starting to get grace that God gives you for your sacrifice. Man, that is the bomb. That's when you start thinking, love starts happening and you don't even know where it came from. God. All right. Next, the Holy Lover series, How to Save Your Marriage When Your Wife is Given Up. 33 gifts that will satisfy her forever will help, and they work, but it's always require a husband to be a man of action. Again, I must ask, are you a holy lover? Which is becoming the man God created you to be, which is what? Knowing your mission, knowing your purpose. Why were you created? Why are you here? Okay? And becoming the husband your wife needs. What does that mean? Being able to fulfill her, to satisfy her, to make her happy, to make her want to serve you, to make her want to nurture the home, nurture you and the children, make her want to go to church and love God. All of that. Okay? So that's why it's not a one-trick pony, right? So if you are not, then my friend, it's time to get to work. If you're not a holy lover, it's time to get to work. No more excuses. It's time to get warrior mode, like I always talk about. This is Catholic Alpha. My slogan is from wuss to warrior. And if that offends some people, of course, I don't care. Because if that offends somebody, that's because they don't really understand the state of masculinity today. In the state of masculinity today, we're being attacked. We're being crapped on. We don't get respect. We don't know most men, a lot of men have a low moral compass, which means evil has infiltrated their lives. We just have no idea what's going on. And all of us, most of us, I will say all of us are so tired. We're tired, physically tired and mentally tired. And so men, like I always say, it's hard out here for a pimp. But man, when it comes to God in our marriage, like I say, if a dude ain't like the Archbishop Fulton J. Sheen just said in that quote, if all you're doing is loving each other and you don't have God, you're going to get bored with each other. You're going to get bored. That's why that grace is so important. It's important to involve. It takes 3 to get married, 3 to be in love, 3 to love more. The knowledge of God, the knowledge of your wife. Okay. And you will see, man, it will happen. It will happen. But it's going to take work by you. Okay. Next, warrior mode, from wuss to warrior. Catholic Alpha, from wuss to warrior. Because I ain't gonna lie, most of us are wusses. We are wusses. Most of us are. And I don't mean like, okay, I can bench 500 pounds and I can squat 1,000 pounds and I can just whoop everybody's butt. Because, that's a gift. Being able to being a great fighter or a great athlete, that's a gift, right? Just like looks are a gift, or being good with money, or being good at being a doctor or a lawyer. Those are all gifts. And so there's always going to be someone that can whoop your butt. I don't care who you are. But what we're talking about is, a wuss as far as mentally, spiritually, psychologically, those kind of things, because in the end, that is what really matters. And so when we're morally defunct, then we will fall for anything. Satan can say anything he wants to us, and we're doing it, right? Just a small example is, you ever know somebody that has tattoos, right? First of all, most people start off getting a real little tattoo, or a medium-sized tattoo, and then that ain't good enough, right? So then what do? A year later, some months later, they go get another one, then another one, then another one. Oh, I'm not addicted to it. This is fun. I like it. Then you look up, the guy's got tattoos. 5 years later, he's got tattoos all over his face, all over his arms, all over his back, his legs, everything. So what does that mean? That just means Satan has infiltrated that person. Remember, man, think about it. It's a disorder. Disorder means without God. So would God have a person entirely cover themselves who he created from head to toe in tattoos? Of course not. Of course not. So that person has been infiltrated, demonically infiltrated. And they don't even know it. They don't even know it. And so that's why you hear me talk about warrior mode, man. Like, we've got to understand how to fight Satan, how to be closer to Jesus Christ and God, and try our best to do what they want us to do, so that we're not infiltrated by the evil one. And believe me, it is there. So that's why I ask you, we've got to combat Satan for our wife, for our children, and for our home every single day. We got to don our armor, lift our shield, and sheath our sword. If you want to be a hero, most men, we're not happy because we're not heroes. Every day we do the same thing. We don't do anything that means anything, and we try to make up stuff that means something, and it don't. We crave to be. The only way a man can ever be fulfilled and satisfied is if he's willing to die for something. That is what it is. And of course, those three things are God, your wife, and your child. Start there. Okay? Everything else is secondary. Then you will be a hero. I promise you. Okay? Next, I must ask, what will we do as men? Will we return to our man cave, or enter the battle for Christ, for our wife and our children? For those three things, again, there are 33 gifts in the Holy Lover series. And today we will cover gift number 7, which states, oh, this is okay. A holy lover reads, understands, and applies Ephesians 5, verses 21 through 33, and servant of his beloved and the Father. So, in short, a holy lover must understand marriage and the roadmap of marriage. This is where Ephesians 5, verses 21 through 33 come in. These verses explain to us who to love, who to respect, who to serve, and who to leave for happiness and fulfillment in our marriage. Today, we're going to explore the sacred scripture more closely. There are many misconceptions about Ephesians 5, verses 21 through 33. And you guys, if you already know what they are. I don't even have to even really say it if you know them, if you know this scripture. And of course, all of you do, because it deals with marriage. Most everybody does. They might not know the exact verses and stuff, but once they hear them, they know exactly what I'm talking about. So this is because, as usual, many don't understand or even care to understand God's plan for their happiness. The creator of the human machine always knows what he is doing if we would only listen. The battle for our marriage is a spiritual battle, and as the man of the home, we are required to what? Be the defender. That's why this is called prayer warfare. You've got to understand prayer warfare. Okay? Our duty and responsibility as a man is to give our life away each and every day in defense of our home from the diabolical. If we lack the will for battle, I in this podcast and the Holy Spirit will help you try our best to get in it. Okay? The only question is, will you cooperate? Again, today we're going to talk about how to build a good marriage in 2023. And guess where it starts? Boom. The only place it should start, the all-encompassing our Lord Jesus Christ, who died for us, who was just risen again for the 2010th time this Sunday. And so when we come back, we're going to rock this and we're going to understand what St. Paul is talking about when it comes to marriage and one flesh. Bam. If you're getting value from this podcast and would like more personal marriage help, visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for an opportunity to work with me personally for free. Yes, within 30 days, learn how to become a better husband that attracts your wife back to you. Visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com and get a plan tailored specific to your marriage and situation. I've helped hundreds of men in their marriages. Allow me the chance to help you using my personal and gained experience. Visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for superior coaching for your marriage. Again, SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com. That's SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com to become the man God created you to be and the husband your wife needs. Lastly, I always get the question, why don't you help women? And I always answer them, I do. So, for all of you beloved wives out there that want to reignite that feeling of emotional closeness and complete love from your hubby, consider marriage coaching and visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for an improved marriage within 30 days. Okay. I got a question. Do you have a child that is getting ready to get married and you're worried about if they pick the wrong person? Are you? Do you? Oh, man, that's a tough one. How do you deal with that? Guess what? Call me and I'll help. So now we're getting to the radical rant because we're going to get into Ephesians 5 and what this marriage roadmap thing is all about. How to save our marriage when our wife is given up. The Holy Lover gift number 7. Again, it states a holy lover reads, understands, and applies Ephesians 5 verses 21 through 33 in service of his beloved and the Father. So what I'm going to do is go through each verse and try to explain a little bit. Now, this is basically the Catholic Church's, the Church's interpretation of these verses. This is not Jerry. Of course, you know me. I got to throw my own little stuff in there, but it's only to complement that. Just like the Blessed Mother, she leads all of us to her Son. So that's what I'm doing. All I'm doing is interpreting the church, add my stuff in there to lead that and you to God. Okay? That's of most importance. That's what this podcast is about, to get you to understand that. So, but what we're going to do is I'm going to go through each verse and then I'm going to kind of explain it and then put in my little twists and turns so that we can really try to understand this in a down-to-earth type of thing. This is because that's what I do. You know, I try to bring the faith down to earth. You know, sometimes people, you know, the Catholic faith is the Christ Church. I mean, it's complicated. I'm not even going to lie. It is. That's why I just deal in marriage and I don't even know everything about that. Shoot, you know, that's my little world, but there's another whole world, of the beauty of the church, of the music of the church, of the liturgy of the church. I just keep the saints, the angels, hell, heaven, purgatory. Believe me, all of these things, you could spend decades just on one of these things to learn everything there is to know. This is why when the Reformation happened in around 500 years ago, it just destroyed Christ's church. It destroyed the church. It destroyed the faith. It split it up. It watered it down. Not everybody's on the same page, and it's painful. It's painful when you think about it, that our Lord died so that we could have 30,000 different churches and nobody can come together on nothing. And that's terrible. That's really terrible. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through these verses. And if you got any questions, please give me a call and we can rock it. Okay. So again, Ephesians 5, 21 through 33. This is St. Paul talking about our responsibilities, our roadmap as we go through marriage. So verse 21, wives and husbands, be subordinate to one another out of reverence for Christ. First, right off the bat, boom. You don't never hear that one, do you? You don't never hear that verse, do you? You always hear the other. We're going to go through this next. It's funny in society, you never hear this verse quoted, ever, ever, ever. But out of the 13 verses, this verse is the most telling of what Christ is asking. If both spouses are subordinate or submit to each other out of love, respect, obedience, and reverence for Christ, how can either encounter total domination? Remember, men are Christ in the home. Men submit to Christ. Wife submits to the husband if he is following Christ. And the children submit to the wife and the father and Christ, okay? But people seem to admit, people seem to, forget. If I'm the husband and I'm not following Christ, then I try to get an attitude when my wife ain't cooperating with me. Well, she's not supposed to. She's not supposed to. Women ain't stupid. After a while, they go, look, man, I'm with a bum. He ain't trying to change. He's the same old dude he was 10 years ago, and I'm trying to move on from that, okay? So that's the first verse. So now we go to verse 22. Wives should be subordinate to their husbands as to the Lord. Boom, boom, boom. Second, we hit it hard again. We hit it hard again. You always hear this one. And the feminazis can't stand it. They can't stand it because they want to run things. The problem is they ain't equipped to run things. They ain't equipped to run things, and they messed up this country. They messed up the stuff, and now men, we sitting around, we don't know what to do because we didn't sit there and let them take over, and so now we're sitting around, but nobody know what to do. Don't nobody know what to do, right? And it's sad. Oh, my God, it's so sad. It's painful. Women are out of their element. Men are out of their element. It's not working. Your way is not working, feminazis. Your way is not working, wuss man. Christ's way, Satan's way, his way is not working, okay? So wives should be subordinate to their husbands as to the Lord. You must understand that St. Paul starts with the complete responsibility of both spouses acting as one in verse 21, right? In being married, remember that you and your spouse are no longer individuals with separate bodies and minds, but are one flesh, acting only together as one. Remember, each not only belongs to one another, but actually have bodily rights over each other. You're just not together and married. Your wife's body belongs to you. Your body belongs to her. This is why when we go out and have an emotional affair with another person, or talking to other men, or talking to other women, and we're neglecting our wife and we're neglecting our wife and our spouse, then there's a problem. And then people try to get mad when the spouse goes, hey man, you over there doing this all the time, you just forgot about me. Your wife and your husband have the right to complain about that. Why? Because your body and soul and heart and mind is already taken. It belongs to your beloved. And that's the eye in the eyes of God. Okay? And remember, so now in verse 22, St. Paul instructs each spouse in a more direct manner what they are expected to do individually in order to accomplish total and complete oneness with each other. See, people don't really understand the Bible is full of great stories, right? But they're not stories, they are prophecies. It's what happened before, and then the Old Testament tells what's going to happen as we go to the New Testament. And people don't really understand that God and Jesus Christ loved each other so much that they together created the Holy Spirit. That is one. Think of the symbols of the symbolic, whatever. Think of that, okay? When a man and woman get married, they have bodily rights over each other, which means legally, morally, spiritually, in the eyes of God, Jesus Christ, and the Trinity, they belong to each other. They actually belong to each other, okay? They love each other so much that 9 months later, they create one flesh, which is a child. That is how beautiful God is, that he allows us to participate in the beatific vision of a godlike act of creation, and we abuse it because we don't try to understand the love and the mercy and the justice of God and what he's really trying to do for us. Okay? Try to hear what St. Paul's talking about. Really, this is your roadmap to your marriage, man. It's the foundation of it. Okay? And many people don't really understand that Christ, the natural order is for a reason of God, husband, wife, children. Why would God set it up like that if it was to disrespect and hurt and demean a woman? Or you think you as a woman got a problem? Think about a man. We've got to at least, the person you're supposed to submit to, you can see him right there. He's right there. But if you a man and you got to submit to Christ, well, what does that mean? Where's Christ at? I got to go find him, and that's the point of faith. Faith in there comes a time in our lives as men and women too, that we got to look at ourselves and say, listen, is God real or ain't he? Is God real, ain't he? God, are you there for real? All that stuff Jesus did in the New Testament, dying and resurrecting, all that stuff, is it real stuff? First of all, there's no way that anybody can say Jesus Christ wasn't a real person. Even the Muslims admit that. You know why? Because there are too many witnesses that saw Jesus Christ after he died and rose again. There are too many people that saw Jesus Christ after or before he died. He did too many miracles that are documented. So whether you believe that Jesus is God, that first of all, the first thing you got to think about was he even real in there? Boom. That's what the Bible's telling you. That listen, we were there. The apostles, I saw him. That's witnesses. Just like Abraham Lincoln. Right now, and there's nobody alive today that saw Abraham Lincoln. They have no idea what he looks like. They have no idea what kind of man he was. They don't even really know if he was real or not. The only reason you know that Abraham Lincoln was real is why? Because somebody told you. Because there were witnesses back then when he was president that saw him get shot, that saw him how great a president he was, and blah, blah, blah. This even goes further. Dr. Martin Luther King. Most of the kids today that are grown, that were born, they don't have no idea who Dr. They didn't see him. Anybody could say, I don't know, that dude ain't nothing. I never seen him. Who is he? I never seen him with my eyes. This is how crazy people are. If we just think about things logically. But of course, Dr. Martin Luther King was there. Why? Because we have witnesses and testimonies, and then their picture or videos of him and stuff. So the man was there. But somebody can always say, look, I wasn't there, so if I didn't see him, he don't exist. That's a fool's run. That's a fool's run. That's like saying, and it's also like saying, well, the Big Bang happened, but you know what? I didn't see it. I didn't see God do it, so it wasn't real. It wasn't there. That's ludicrous. That's ludicrous. Somebody had to create the universe. Nothing is created out of nothing. Nothing is created out of nothing. So there has to be a God. There has to be a first mover. Has to be. There's no other explanation. There's no other explanation. So that is where we come back to our lives as being married and understanding this marriage thing, man. It's the same thing. So that being said, let me see. So now individually, total. So in each family, the husband is the head, but the wife is the heart. These two cannot and must not be in conflict. Okay? This is why there has to be a head. Why? Because women ain't got time. Women do not have time to go to work 12 hours a day, 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, then come home and take care of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 kids, then nurture them, then make love to you and make you feel needed as a man, make you feel special as a man, respect you and love you and serve you and all of that. This is the whole deal. This is the whole deal. This is why it's important that as a husband, you have to look at your relationship from your wife's point of view too, not just your own. Again, women aren't as physically strong as us. Their bodies can't take a lot of physical and mental toughness like that. Women are mentally tough. That's not what I'm saying. But when the physical gets tough, then our mental ability, we get tired too. So that's why you got to understand, if your wife is working 8, 10, 12 hours a day and trying to do the kids and trying to take care of the house and trying to take care of you, and then doing your job and you're all the husband is doing is going to work and coming home and playing video games and going out with his buddies and going fishing and golfing and watching sports and all that stuff. She can't actually do your job and her job and as the thing. That's why God made two of us, one flesh. It's important that we understand what we're talking about and what we're going through as human persons. Okay? Man, I get very passionate about this, man, because I was stupid too, and I didn't know this crap, and I was mad that nobody taught me when I was younger. And when you start to really understand and start to try your best to get into this stuff, then you start to realize, man, that this world is beautiful. That's why you bring kids into this world, because this world is not the only thing. It's the thing that it's the stepping stone to get to greatness, right? So, okay, so understand that the natural order is also an order of protection from the diabolical. Many women seem to forget this little known fact. It kills me how women, they get mad, they get hurt, and they want to leave their husbands, or they want to move or put them in another bedroom, and then they expect their kid to still respect them and still look at them with respect and all that kind of stuff. That's not how it happens, ladies. That's not how it happens, gentlemen. If as a man, if you expect you can go out and do whatever you want, that you don't have to pray, you can neglect your wife somewhat, you don't spend time with your kids, you put your job and making money above all of that, and the only time you spend time with your wife and God and your kids is when you ain't got to work. Dude, that is not, first of all, that's not sacrifice. Why? Because I said last week, that's your job anyway. We always want credit for stuff we're supposed to be doing anyway. Like brushing our teeth, like going to the bathroom, wiping our butt, like taking a shower, putting on some cologne or putting mouthwash in their mouth. We want credit for that. No, man, that's what we supposed to, that's our job to stay clean and hygiene. With hygiene, right? Just like going, when you go to work, you're supposed to go to work. That's what you're supposed to do as a man. Why we not supposed to get kudos for that? Now maybe at work you get awards and stuff for doing a good job, but your wife and kids don't look at it like that. That's like, dude, that's what you're supposed to be doing. Just like with the women, your job is to raise the kids and make sure the kids got some sense. But we want all this accolades and stuff. That's your job. That's your job. Now, a good husband, a good and great husband, what are he gonna do? He's gonna say, "Oh, baby, you're so good with the kids. I'm so glad that I'm so glad that you're their mother and that you're a good mother." That kind of stuff. Because you got to show your wife appreciation. But to expect a kudos for every little thing we do that's our job, that's not how people look at stuff. It really isn't. And that comes with our generation and the generation before us and the current generation of everybody telling us how special and great we are, and we ain't accomplished nothing. We ain't even got out of high school yet. We ain't even out of grade school yet. We ain't even graduated from kindergarten yet. We talk about how great we are. No, we ain't. You only become great when you accomplish something. When you accomplish a great marriage, when you accomplish something great in your job, or you do something nobody else does, or you are an upstanding and moral citizen that adds to this country, not just take away from it. That's esteem. That's self-esteem. That's greatness, man. It is, and women people got to understand when we as people, a husband, a father, or child, the natural order is set up for protection from what? The diabolical. and from physical outside threats too. So basically, the husband is charged to protect and defend the home against the Satan and against assaults on the home from the outside from physical threats. Women can't do that. Women can't. They really can't. Sure, you can say, well, women, I got a gun. Yeah, but how many women get the gun taken from them? Because why? They just do. They're not, that's why you need a man. It's called protection. And then you also need the man to protect you from the diabolical, to keep Satan out of your home. That is the man's job. Now, the wife helps him in the combination of spiritual warfare, but it's mainly the job of the man, the husband. He has more graces for that, to ward off demons. Okay? It's important that we understand that. So when we but as a woman, you step outside that chain of protection, what you do is open up yourself to getting attacked by God, by Satan. You open yourself up. A kid who does not, like, say you got a kid, right? Say the natural, say you got a kid, and that kid, they're 20-something years old. They decide, screw my parents. I'm going to go out and do whatever I want. I ain't going to talk to them. I'm not going to try to be with them. And you know how kids do today, stupid stuff like that. They have basically taken themselves out of protection mode. Basically, they're going to get it. Their life is going to be crap eventually. But God always gives you time to get your stuff together. But if you don't, eventually, that child of yours will be susceptible to demonic influence, and he will. Why? Because God, Christ, the husband, and the mother, they are the ones that are in charge of protecting those kids. And when the kid steps outside their protection, then what happens? He gets attacked by a diabolical. That's why you have the natural order. Bam. All right. Boom. Now, verse 23. Verse 23. For the husband is head of his wife, just as Christ is head of the church. He himself the Savior of the body. Remember that Christ is not only the head of the church, but also he came from heaven incarnate to save the church as well. Understand that Christ is the groom and the church is his bride. Look, man, I say this a lot because I want people to really understand what God, as an omniscient, all-powerful being, when he came down as a lowly creature in the womb of a creature, the pain and the misery and the hurt and all of that sacrifice and suffering that he had to go through. And that's just coming from the heaven into the Blessed Mother. That's why you've got to look at the Blessed Mother as very holy. She is his mother. Okay? She's pure, because God cannot be inside a vessel that's not pure. Common sense. Okay? And then not just being that, being born, the pain of being born, the sacrifice that God did for us because we were silly, right? And you've got to understand, man, that's how this works. And then the pain, not the pain of it, and then the pain of just day-to-day life, because Jesus was taught how to be a carpenter by St. Joseph, his father, right? So just think of the pain of being tired and all this stuff when you used to being God, right? And then we come to the culmination of the crucifixion, of the betrayal, of all of that stuff, and we have to consistently think about what God really did so that we could be creatures, so that he could do his ultimate plan of have us back with him. And people, I think we don't think about that enough, man, that God really wants us with him. That is why we have to go through all this pain on earth, okay? So next, understand that Christ is the groom and the church is his bride. And in this context, what did our Lord do? He gave himself, sacrificed himself for the church, the communion of the body. Remember, Christ, the church, we are Christ's bride. Christ is the church. We are the church, and Christ is so he's married to us, which means what? He sacrificed himself for his beloved. Christ sacrificed himself for his beloved. And that is what we're supposed to do. If you're having marriage problems right now, it's because your darn wife you ain't sacrificed for. You ain't dying for, man. You ain't dying for. That's why you're having marriage problems right now. Because women, they ain't stupid. That's why women love Christ. Once they understand what Christ is about, that's why they love his butt. You know why? Because he died for them. And women instinctively know that if I give my body, my mind, and my heart and my soul to a man, and he don't die for me, if he don't give his whole life for me, if I'm not number one, then there's a problem. Because Jesus Christ did it, and that's what we're supposed to do. And it starts with prayer, giving your life through your time for your wife. This is what I'm saying. If as a man, you are not in the spiritual battle for the soul of your wife every single day, you're going to have marriage problems. You're going to have them because there's no grace there. Because you know what you're telling God as a husband? Hey, man, we got it. I got it, man. I got it, Christ. I got it, Jesus. Don't worry about me. You got to do over there. You stay over there, and I got it over here. But it don't work like that, man. It don't work like that because eventually, if you was God, if you was Jesus Christ, then you right. If you was an omniscient being, you right. You wouldn't need God. But guess what? You ain't. You a creature. We dirt, and if the dirt you will return, the dust you will return, brother. That's how I look at it. And that's how we're supposed to look at it, because that's what scripture says. Bam. All right. Now, so here husbands are commanded in verse 23 to love, govern, protect, and give up his entire life for his wife, his beloved, his bride, as she is his bride, as the church is Christ's bride. You see, men, we're taught today, it ain't even our fault. It really ain't even our fault, man. It really ain't. We are taught to be selfish. That's the problem when parents tell their kids how great they are. And then the parents only got one kid. So how is that kid supposed to learn how to not be selfish if he's the only kid? You got to understand how powerful you are as a parent, that when you only have one or two kids, those kids, other kids raise the other kids and help them grow up. And then they learn how to not to be selfish. They learn how to sacrifice for others. They learn how to sacrifice for the family. If we raise a kid and the kids by themselves, or we got 10, 20 kids, and we always tell the kids how great they are, how special they are, and they ain't done nothing, they think, well, when I go out here in the real world, I can just go to work and do what I want. I can quit when I want. I ain't got to pray. I got to see God. Because, hey, I'm special. I'm special. That's why people are so selfish. That's why we are. And then we look at our kids, we get mad at when they get 17 and 15, 16 and 25 and 30 and stuff, and they're selfish. And we wonder how that happened. That happened because that's how we raised them. That's how we raised them. And so it's important that we understand that it's important that as a mother and a father and a husband and a wife, that we always sacrifice our wants, our desires, and our needs for the greater whole, which is our family, which is our beloved, which is our children, and children for their parents, until they get a wife, until they get a husband. Okay? So now, next, verse 24. As the church is subordinate to Christ, wives should be subordinate to their husbands in everything. Oh my goodness. That's the one. That's the other one everybody hates. That's the other one the feminazis want to shoot everybody over, because look, here's the deal. Think of all the feminists you know. Are they happy? Are they fulfilled? No, they ain't. I'll help you. No, they ain't. No, they ain't. They always mean. They try to act happy. As soon as you don't do what they want, they get mad. They're all emotional. They can't, they won't help you. And then you got to watch everything you say, because they have a chip on their shoulder. Why? Because they want to be men. They want to be men. You can't be a man because I'm already a man and he's already a man and he's already a man. We got enough men. We need women. we need women who are feminine, who are nurturers, who are lovers, who give the time to make their husbands great, to make themselves and make their kids great, make their families great, and then in return makes themselves great. As a woman, it's like you will never be satisfied as a woman if you don't embrace your femininity. You will always be miserable. Because God set it up. This ain't Jerry talking, it's God. God set it up like that. And every time that people, men and women and kids, try to go against who they really and truly are, it's painful. It's painful. Why? Because that's God saying, that's not what I made you for. I didn't made you to put on a pantsuit every day and go confront men all the time and try to show how better you are than a man. That's not what I made you for. Somebody's got to take care of these children. That's the problem. And some man sitting at home taking care of kids while his wife is out working 50 hours a week, that ain't being a real man either. Stay at home mama, stay at home daddies. Who invented that? Man, that's crazy. We have to learn that. And then stay at home dads get mad when they get disrespected. You ever seen that? I have. They get mad when they get disrespected. Well, dude, you're at home doing a woman's job, which is a great job, but that's not your job. You know, it's not. We've got to understand what this marriage thing is about. God created marriage for a reason, so that we can send souls back to Christ, back to God in the beatific vision. But we have to sacrifice for that privilege. Okay, which means we have to be who we are. It's like being on a football field, and the lines are God. The referees are the commandments. And you are free to do whatever you want within those rules and boundaries. Now, people that do that on the football field, but when it comes to God in their life, they want to screw that all up. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Men want to be women and women want to be men. No. And I don't mean the transgender thing. I just mean internally, we men have started, being more feminine, and women has started trying, like I said, assault men and step to men and stuff like that. That is not how we're supposed to be. Why? Because we are supposed to be the best examples of men and women for who? For our children. And when we aren't, like people who don't discipline their kids. I'm going to really give a talk back on that one. People don't discipline their kids. Don't spank that butt or don't punish him. That is not creating a good citizen. It's not. That's not creating a good moral, psychologically and healthy person. Because they would go out and think that they can do anything they want, until somebody puts their fist in their face. Then the kid goes, well, my mom and dad didn't whoop me, so why are you hitting me? It's love. Remember, discipline is love. It's love. Otherwise, this is why it goes back to believing in God. Either God is or God ain't real. So if God said in scripture, blessed will spoil the rod, spare the rod, spoil the child, that is your creator telling you that sometimes you got to whoop a kid's butt when they out of line after you didn't give them 25 chances. What else is there left to do? Talk to them? You can't talk to a 2-year-old because they don't understand you. Okay? You can't talk to a 17-year-old when they've been around these other crazy kids for 17 years. There comes a time where talking ain't enough. That's why we have wars. Because heads of country, they try to talk and work it out, and sometimes it don't work. I got a call. So I'm going to take that in a minute. So, boom. Understand, I know I'm being tough today a little bit, but it's the reason why is, man, we've done it your way. Not your way, but the way of Satan. We've done it the way of people who want to keep doing things their way instead of God's way. And it don't work. It don't work. We've seen it the last 100 years especially. So we got to go back to what Christ wants us to do. That's how you make a great country again. You can love Donald Trump or hate him. It don't matter. Guess what? He had it right. Make America great again. And Donald Trump is a very intelligent man. So he just didn't mean with money. He meant psychologically, emotionally, and mainly morally, spiritually. Okay? So we're going to come back and finish up. Starting with verse 25 after the call. Bam. Let's talk about your Catholic marriage problems. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Eastern. Live streamed on the Catholic Alpha Radical Facebook page and CatholicAlpha.com. All right. We have our caller on. And so I am going to bring them on real quick. Boom. Talk. Hello, caller. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. All right, good, man. How you doing today?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing all right. I'm all passionate today, man. I don't know what said to me.
Mm,
So, hey,
mm.
what can I help you with, my brother?
Me and my wife, we got 5 kids. We've been married for about 15 years. I'm 38. She's 37. And recently, she told me she wants to use contraception. And what is it? Yeah, she wants to use contraception because she's tired. Because the last couple of pregnancies were difficult on her body, and she just wants to start using contraception. I think she should at least have 2 more kids, or around 2 more kids. But she doesn't want to go through anymore. Wants to use contraception, but I don't think she should because of the teaching of the church mainly, but also
Mm-hmm.
because I think she's going to regret it down the road. I mean, we already have 5, but 1 or 2 more I think would be good.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Great question. Great question. Um, so here's the thing about contraception. First off, the reason we have to understand why the church, God, Christ Church, is against contraception. It's not because God's trying to be a mean God, that he's trying not to let you be free, do what you want to do. But as a creator, he has the right to give you a roadmap, a plan that will make you happy. And ultimately, being in front of him in the beatific vision in heaven in eternity and time and eternity is what ultimately make your soul happy and make you and being with him. So when we use contraception, which is what birth control basically is the same thing, when we use birth control and then God sends those souls to us and we kill them before the souls even have a chance to populate, there is a problem with that. So basically, that is abortion before abortion. Basically, we are killing the souls that God has sent us through the man's semen and the woman's egg. And what that does is that defeats the ultimate plan of God because we are here not to have a good time and do what we want all the time. We're here on a mission. And that mission is to have children, to educate them in the faith, and to send them back to God as saints. That's the ultimate plan. So it makes sense when God gets upset when we start aborting kids and killing kids with millions of kids and putting on rubbers and taking pills and all those kind of things and sticking stuff where it doesn't go. That is why he gets upset. Now, the other thing is this. The second reason why a woman doesn't want to use contraception is um, she will marry the wrong man. So in your which I don't know if your wife was using contraception before you got married, but usually women that use contraception and they marry that man, they find out when they stop taking contraception that, oh my God, this is not the man that I want to be with, I'm supposed to be with. And so that hurts the marriage. Okay. But the third thing that is the most devastating to a woman is if a woman is on contraception, then basically her husband will use her as a fork, a knife, and a spoon. She has become an object, a pleasure thing, only to be used when I need to release myself. This is why it takes 3 to get married: husband, wife, and God. Because when a man or woman make love with God involved, what happens is that love can create life. And love must have something on the line. Love is meant to be shared. And when a woman takes pills for a year, 5 years, 10, 20 years, she becomes basically a machine that a man could just use whenever he wants. And guess what? Her soul rebels against that. Her psyche rebels against that. That's why a lot of contraception will cause a divorce. Birth control will eventually cause you to divorce or separate or be unhappy or be miserable in your marriage. Okay? So, what is the solution? So, your wife is there's the Catholic Church has what we call NFP, natural family planning. Some people try to say it's some people try to say that it's a what you call it oh it's basically birth control for Catholics, and it's not, because as people we always do things we ain't supposed to do. The only way you're supposed to use natural family planning is when there, you not only as a grave reason, a very important reason. So like your wife. So your wife has 5 kids and her body's tired. That's what she's really telling you. Like, look, man, I done had 5 kids in a row. I'm tired. My body's tired. I'm mentally tired. So your wife needs a break, is what she's telling you. So that's why natural family planning is a good thing. And I'll tell you what it is in a minute. Also, let's say your wife has cancer and she's sick, or let's say you're sick. You know, you're allowed to have natural family planning because that's a grave reason. And if your wife needs a break because she's psychologically unstable because she's having all these kids and stuff, and she's getting wore down and her body's getting worn down, then she needs a break. So natural family planning is basically what we do, what Catholics do in order to, what happens is you keep track of your wife's menstrual cycle, and then there's certain times of the month that your wife can get pregnant. And so what will happen is she will be able to, if you, let's say she can get pregnant, like some women have very small pregnancy windows when they can get pregnant. Some women have very long time when they can get pregnant, okay? So what you do is you calculate her menstrual cycle and how that works, and then what'll happen is when you guys make love, then what'll happen is she'll get pregnant on that, you know, or you can use it, natural family planning, to not to make love when she gets pregnant at that time. And so women are allowed to do that because, look, having babies is a hard thing. And like you said, your wife, you know, she the last 2 pregnancies were really hard on her. My first wife was like that. Like, those pregnancies were really hard on her, especially the last one, you know. And so that's the answer, man. What do you think?
I think that's all good. I'm gonna definitely tell her about what you said and see if it changes her mind on anything. But y'all looking more into NFP, and then just see how far along it goes with our conversations.
Yeah, just be gentle with her, man. You know, she's your wife and you love her and she loves you, and she's willing to have your babies and have your babies for God. So just be gentle with her and just try to, you know, explain to her. And most women, they will do the NFP, and really just she's probably willing, you know, y'all still young. So she's probably, listen, give me a year, give me 18 months to recover more and to get my mind right, and then I'll be ready. Women, they so funny, man. Women are so funny. I don't want to have no baby. I want to have no baby. I want to have no baby. And then all of a sudden, honey, I want to have a baby. Because she will come to you and let you know. She will. Believe it or not, she will. Okay? Anything else, man?
No, sir.
All right. Well, thanks very much for calling.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Great call. Great call. That's what I'm talking about. Great call, y'all. Great call. So let's take a quick short break and we listen to other caller calls, and then we will be finishing up. Boom. All right. Let's get back to the content. We are on the 25 verse, Ephesians 5 verse 25. Husbands, love your wives even as Christ loved the church and handed himself over for her. Ooh, to sanctify her, cleansing her by the bath of water with the word, that he might present to himself the church in splendor, without spot or wrinkle or any such thing, that she might be holy and without blemish. Oh my God. This is the husband's power as a man, as a husband, as a father, right here. I'm going to read it one more time. Please listen to these 3 verses, gentlemen. Husbands, love your wives, even as Christ loved the church and handed himself over for her, to sanctify her, cleansing her by the bath of water with the word, that he might present to himself the church in splendor, without spot or wrinkle or any such thing, that she might be holy and without blemish. Do you understand what that's saying? Listen, man, this is your power as a husband right there, that you have the power through prayer, suffering, and sacrifice to present your wife before our Lord Jesus Christ and the particular judgment, purified and holy without blemish. That's the power you have as a man. And nobody knows that. And if men did know that, they would pray for their wife every single day as hard as they could until they were so tired they couldn't walk. Because your prayer and sacrificing and giving yourself as a man, giving your time and your heart, your mind and soul for your beloved wife, that is when your wife becomes great. That's when she becomes holy, her sacred self, because you, her beloved husband, handed over himself for her. Do you hear what I'm saying? Do you hear what I'm saying? Okay? That is the most powerful thing out of all these verses right here. That right there. And if people would just read it, and women would, if you ask a woman, any woman on this planet right now, if I suffered and gave myself for you as my beloved wife, and that would make sure that you get to heaven and stand before Christ, and Christ would be love you and send you on to heaven, would you take that deal? Of course they would take that deal. Of course they would take that deal. That's what your wife signed up for. That's what she signed up for, okay? What is your number one responsibility as a husband? It's to make sure your wife becomes holy, a saint, and to make sure her soul is accepted into heaven. It's a big responsibility. But see, the problem is, man, like in the Catholic Church, we have premarital counseling, and now Christians have picked it up too. Everybody's premarital counseling, but man, they don't teach this stuff. They don't teach this stuff. So really, man, you want to educate the man. The woman is going to be all right if the man's all right. The kids are going to be all right if the husband and the wife are all right, the mother and the father. But see, everybody, we focus too much on the kids and the women these days. That's not changing nothing. That's why I talk to men, because I know if I can get a man to change himself, that he is so powerful and will have so much grace that he can change his environment, thereby changing the world. And his wife, by raising, a husband will love his wife so much that she will change the world by the raising of one kid. That's how it works, everybody. That's how it works. Sacrifice your one and only life so that your precious wife shall be purified, cleansed, and spotless before God, because you gave yourself for her. Then and only then will she become the woman that you need, the woman that God created her to be. For this, the Father will forever reward you. Number 28 and 29. So also husbands should love their wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. Number 29, for no one hates his own flesh, but rather nourishes and cherishes it, even as Christ does the church. Bam, bam, bam. Bam, bam, bam. Again, St. Paul aggressively defines the role of the husband to be clear that a husband cannot abuse his privilege, his wife, his helpmate, made from him, without whom he would be incomplete. Again, we must refer back to the first verse, 21, the foundation of this whole thing. Husbands and wives must submit to each other in reverence to the Lord. Wives are our helpmates, our guides, not our doormats. As the opposite holds true for wives. The husband is not to be manipulated or abused in any way. Decisions must be made as partners. How beautiful is this? But when we disobey God and go our own way, turn our backs on him, evil is allowed to enter the marriage. From this chaos, abuse and selfishness ensues. Okay? Try to hear what I'm saying. Try to hear what God is trying to say to you. Trying to hear what the Holy Spirit through Scripture is trying to say to you. Okay? Verse 30. Because we are members of his body, for this reason a man shall leave his father and his mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. This is a great mystery, but I speak in reverence to Christ and the church. Boom. Okay? Stop letting your parents interfere in your marriage. Stop letting other people, your friends, all these other people, strangers, interfere in your marriage. If your husband and your wife is not each other's best friend, you're going to have problems. Stop relying on other people. Stop running to other people to tell all your problems to. Tell it to your husband. Tell it to your wife. If you are a husband, when your wife tells you something, shut your mouth, close your lips, and listen, and open your ears. And you allow her to tell you what's on her mind without criticizing her or yelling at her or demeaning her or belittling her, so that she will begin a pattern of telling you everything about her life. That way you will know before your wife knows if she's going to mess around on you or not. This is the reason I went through those 33 clues on the divorce thing, to give us as husbands so that we learn our wives, so that we understand that we learn when there's a problem before she knows there's a problem, and then we can move to fix it. Amen? Amen. Okay? Stop letting other people get you. Your job is when, I know women right now that put their parents above their husband. That's not cool. I know mama's boys that they can't stop letting their mama run their life. And they got to have that thing with their mind. So their wife gets jealous and upset because the wife feels that the mother is more important than her. That's why you got to know your roadmap in marriage. There's no way she would let your mama and your daddy and your brothers and sisters and your friends and all the people interfere in your marriage, because you belong to your wife and your wife belongs to you, and your wife is very fragile when it comes to you psychologically. She gets hurt very easy. Okay? And when your wife comes to you and says, I think you put your mother, I feel like you put your mother ahead of me, you man up and you don't make her feel stupid or go, oh, you're just dreaming that up. You're just dreaming. You're just making that up. No way. You're imagining that. No, your wife's not imagining that. Just like if a husband comes to a woman and says, hey, I want the big piece of chicken. Stop putting the kids above God and me. That's not how we stay together as a married couple. As a wife, don't say, I'm not putting the kids above you or this one. Yes, I can do with the kids what I want to do, and the kids are special, and we got to make them feel special and all that kind of stuff. Your kids ain't going to feel special if you get divorced. Woo! Next. So no relationship on earth is more important than your marriage. All other relationships, mother, father, children, friends, should pale in comparison. Again, marriage takes three: husband, wife, the father. Without your marriage, without your wife, without your marriage, do you actually have a family? I would argue that you don't. God didn't say a family is two kids by themselves. God didn't say a family was a single mother and two kids, or three kids or five kids. God didn't say a family was a husband and three kids. No, that's not a family. That's a broken family. A family is a husband, a wife, and God and children together under one roof, going to mass, going to church. That's a family. And it takes sacrifice and commitment and loyalty to make that family grow. Okay? Next. As stated, this is a mystery. We must trust in God and let him lead us while giving our obedience free and without doubt. Father and beauty, magnificent, a gift. 17, gift 33. In any case, each one of you should love his wife as himself, and the wife should respect her husband. To repeat, St. Paul has led us starting with verse 21, introducing us in the ultimate purpose of this passage. Husbands and wives should in the end serve, submit, care for, and sacrifice for each other. This is the beauty of it, gentlemen. This is the beauty of it. And listen, I cannot say enough that if you serve first, your wife will serve you 10 times more. But we are so confused that we think, well, when she fixes herself, I'll fix myself. It does not work that way. Why? Because God set it up as you are responsible. You are the leader, not your wife, and definitely not your children. So if you want change in your family, you must be the man. When you hear men say man up, holy men, like, priests and preachers and all those, when you hear people say man up, that's what they mean. That's why my ministry is called Catholic Alpha, because you can't be a wuss in your home. You got to be an alpha male in your home, which means what? You got to take care of things. Make sure things run smooth. Make sure the kids feel loved. Make sure your wife feels loved. Make sure God knows you love him. Make sure that you bring God into the home. And you can't do that sitting back playing video games every day and going to work 12 hours a day. And that's it. You cannot be a wuss in your home. You've got to be an alpha in your home, because alpha men take care of business. No matter how you look at it, no matter how you want to say it, that's what they do. Alpha men take care of business. And so as a man, you cannot be laid back in your house. Why? Because that's your the house is your responsibility, man. It's your responsibility, man. And so when you go out into your job and you go to church and when you go out in society, yeah, be your personality. Be a laid back, cool out, smooth kind of man, a smooth kind of cat. I'm cool with that. God's cool with that. But when you're in your house, you can't sit by and let your house get in chaos and just see things, well, God's going to take care of it. Everything's going to be okay. No, it ain't going to be okay. If it's happening right now, it ain't okay. All right? Dude, the problem with not being raised and told about the stuff that you hear me talk about is we don't have a understand how powerful and really special that we are when we do what God asks us to do, and what kind of greatness that we can obtain from that. Nobody really teaches that, man. And it's not fair. It's not fair to men, and it's definitely not fair to women. Okay? So, to repeat, St. Paul has led us, starting with verse 21, instructing us in the ultimate purpose of this passage. Husbands and wives should in the end serve, submit, care for, and sacrifice for each other, just as Christ showed us. Notice, this passage says nothing about wives, love your husband, but wives, respect your husband. I said that to one of my women class the other day, and she just stopped and just looked at me. She didn't know what to say. Because she said, I know she thought, man, this guy's he's crazy. But it doesn't. Men want respect. And if it's a woman, if you know that and you respect your husband, he will love you more. He will. If you disrespect your husband, you will repel him from you. He will not want to be around you. He will want to be at work 18 hours a day. He will not want to come home. Matter of fact, he will do everything he can to stay away from you. Is that what you really, really want? Or do you want a man that is your beloved? You're his beloved. He wants to prioritize you as number one. He prays and suffers and sacrifices for you. He gives you anything you want because he knows what will make you happy. He's a great lover and a man that was intimate with you outside the bedroom and holds your hand and has great conversations with you. He listens to you. He takes what you say in his heart and he embraces it. He respects your opinion. You tell me what kind of man you want. You tell me. Hey, you tell me, because if I was a woman, I'd take number two. So, Christ told the wife what she must do. He instructed the husband in what he must do. And in the end, Christ directs both on the ultimate purpose and acts to be completed. Now, that's Christ. So now we got a pope in his apostolic exhortation, Familiaris Consortio, Pope John Paul II writes, quote, authentic conjugal love presupposes and requires that a man have a profound respect for the equal dignity of his wife. You are not her master, writes St. Ambrose, but her husband. She was not given to you to be your slave, but your wife. Reciprocate her attentiveness to you and be grateful to her for her love. With this, a man should live a very special form of personal friendship with his wife. As for the Christian, he is called upon to develop a new attitude of love manifesting toward his wife, a charity that is both gentle and strong, like that which Christ has for his church. End quote. End quote. Okay? There you have it. God, a saint, and a pope who has become a saint, telling you which, with as much love and care they can muster to follow the plan. What else do you need to hear? Bam. Let's talk about your Catholic marriage problems. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Eastern. Live streamed on the Catholic Alpha Radical Facebook page and CatholicAlpha.com. And so today we are complete. We complete today. We had a call today. We had a good show. We learned about marriage and what's up, and so I hope that this helped you guys, and I hope that you take it to heart. And we end, and as we always do, we end with a quote from Pope Benedict XVI, which states, society offers you comfort, but you weren't made for comfort. You were made for greatness. So go forth, Christian soldier. The spiritual fight is up on you. Fast, pray, and prepare for battle. Thank you for listening in today. If what you heard helped you in any way and you would like more personal attention, visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for superior marriage coaching. And remember to join the Catholic Alpha Radical Live podcast as a caller or listener every Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern. To join as a caller, dial area code 313-RADICAL. To join as a listener or view the live stream, visit the Catholic Alpha Radical Live Facebook page or visit CatholicAlpha.com for Catholic marriage help that actually works. Bam.